This is not the first video I have done on Paul Mitchell, and I genuinely hope it is not the last video that I do on Paul Mitchell. In this video, I'm going to give you the reasons why I believe Manchester United should be looking at him as our future director of football. Now, Paul Mitchell specialises in recruitment, and he has built up a fantastic reputation across Europe for the work that he has done at various clubs. And I believe it would be incredibly reductive to only look at the bottom line. The same way it's incredibly reductive to only look at what a player won in his career and just judge them based on what they won alone. I think it would be incredibly reductive to just look at a director of football and see what they bought people for, what they sold people for. I think Paul Mitchell has a hand in shaping philosophy. Paul Mitchell has a hand in delivering a type of player and in settling a club with some good signings. Some of his signings have not been sold at the clubs that he's no longer at. And that tells you just how good some of that recruitment is. He's good at identifying good characters, people that will stick around at a club for a long time. I'm not interested in United buying players and flipping them for a load of money. I'm interested in identifying good players. And that to me is what it should be about. Now, building a reputation as one of the best recruiters in the business is just something that United haven't had, ever. We only recently just had John Murtough as a de facto sporting director of football. But John Murtaugh's career up until now has been an insular one dealing with the academy, one involved in Manchester United club matters. He hasn't been scouring Europe, building up contacts, knowing the value of players, negotiating with clubs of various different levels, all the way from MK Dons through Southampton, Tottenham, RB Leipzig, Monaco. Paul Mitchell can sit opposite somebody in a meeting. And again, this isn't the only aspect of the job, but it's a big aspect. When United are constantly told we overpay for players and United tax is a thing. Someone that sat on both sides of the table, being a man that's had to bring players in from bigger clubs, bring players in from smaller clubs, sell to bigger clubs, sell to smaller clubs. He's sat in sort of every single chair in the negotiation and been in every different power position in a negotiation. So when someone says this player's worth 100 million, you can go, respectfully, no, he's not. And here's why. Boom, boom, boom. And the experience that he's got means that even though he'll still be argued with because that's how negotiations work, it will be less arguable than someone like John Murtough. Most recently, he's been the sporting director at AS Monaco. And I've seen a lot of people down on what he did at AS Monaco, but I think they're misguided. He's also worked in similar roles at clubs New York, Leipzig, and is also part of the Red Bull football group itself, Spurs, Southampton. And in his early days, he began his recruitment career at MK Dons, following their appointment of Carl Robinson as manager back in 2010. The club created a recruitment division and it named Mitchell as the club's first head of recruitment. And he was notably responsible for the signing of former England international Alan Smith, which raised a lot of eyebrows at the time, and also Clint Morrison. And it's no secret that United not only want but need to overhaul completely from top to bottom. And what Mitchell does have is notable Premier League experience. And that's something that I think is actually quite valuable, because it's all well and good having somebody come in that maybe hasn't worked in the Premier League but has worked elsewhere in Europe. And I think that Premier League experience, especially with it being with two clubs, and two clubs that he's had in Europe, by the way, is really, really big. And I think proves that he's ready for the step up to the next level. And he's been in the Champions League in multiple different roles as well. A little bit of an announcement then for you guys. TenTrade and my channel are going to be working together. You might have already seen them working with the football team. That was a vote that was passed by all the members. And if you think I've lost the plot, why am I working with a trading company? Well, I'll tell you why. Because I like what they're about. And it's about education, finance, and all that sort of stuff we don't know enough about. And I think that there's a massive lack of education, and I think that allows some people to take advantage at times. So I'm all about educating people. I'm all about people finding their own way, and TenTrade have got the ability to do that. They've got something called Ten Academy. They've laid everything out. It's the basics, to the nitty-gritty details. They've got courses, expert sessions, guides, you name it, they've got it. Whether you're just peeking around the door or whether you really want to dive into the deep waters and figure trading out, there's definitely something for everybody. If you're interested, then check the link out below and start a bit of an educational journey today. When he worked at Southampton, he helped bring in the likes of Sadio Mane and Lovren to the club. And he would help them go from 14th to 8th and 7th upon their promotion to the league, and also reach European football in 2014-15. He worked alongside Pochettino, and they both left in 2014 to go and join Tottenham. And he had a bit of a mixed record at Spurs. He did sign Dele Alli, which will go down as being relatively mixed due to how it worked out, but I think early doors it was a hell of a signing. David Pleat had a role in that deal as well. But the move for Alderweireld was a massive success, as well as other deals that maybe weren't quite successful. Janssen and Jai were mistakes. Undoubtedly, the biggest success of all of that, though, was probably bringing in the likes of Trippier, as well as Heung-min Son. Big wins. And he's credited with helping Leipzig to bring in Mukiele and Haidara, along with Nkunku, Olmo, Angelino, and the loan deal for Patrick Schick as well, amongst a lot more. And he explained his philosophy to Monaco when he took over, and it's very similar to how United would like to operate in the transfer window. However, without the greatest success in recent times, it does appear like the more specific approach would be a lot more beneficial to United rather than the gung-ho sort of thing with United. Now, he spoke to the Monaco Tribune when he took over, and he said it doesn't have to be a whole wave of new players, 2 or 3 or 4 players every window of the highest quality that can break into the starting 11. And Monaco's deals under Mitchell included the very highly rated Dutch striker Boadu, as well as a Brazilian right-back in Vanderson. They brought in disastrous, who obviously now has moved on, as well as Diatta. And that was players that were recruited in Monaco under Mitchell. But I think it's important that he doesn't just come in and blast signings around. He clearly works with what a club is about. Monaco now have 7 academy players in the senior squad, and they play exciting, aggressive, transitional football where they're looking to move the ball forward. That's led to them getting back on track, even though some people aren't necessarily calling it the huge successes that they've had in the past. But also they're not the same sort of side they had in the past. This isn't the side that was going bananas for the likes of Falcao and Moutinho or when Mbappe was there. But they finished in the top 3 in 4 of the last 5 seasons and are currently top of Ligue 1 as it stands. I think his role at United would be more akin to that at Monaco than it has been at some of his previous clubs. He'd be in charge of both the academy and first team recruitment, with the main focus of aligning under what Ten Hag's style of play and vision is in the recruitment process. And I think that's somewhere where United have really failed. He's displayed the ability to not only overhaul the recruitment side of the football club, but also to kickstart that youth progression pipeline. And United do have the raw materials in the football club. I don't think that's in doubt. I think there's been good players in the academy. Choosing the right loans, manage them while they're on loan, and bringing them into the first team. Those are things that really need to be managed and worked out. And even when people envisage Monaco, people think about a big club with relative stability, but during a few years prior to the last few years, that really wasn't the case. More recently, Monaco finished 17th and 9th, and that was the 2 seasons preceding Mitchell's arrival. And that sparked concerns about Monaco reverting to their early 2010 struggles. Mitchell's impact re-established stability within the club. It propelled them back into European football. He's implemented a very distinct philosophy and an approach that is centered on dynamic, transitional football and very strategic player acquisition. In summary, coupled with the fact that one of the main reasons he left football was supposedly to focus on family. I don't know if that was to be closer to family rather than being in France. He's lived all over the world in the last few years. He's from Stalybridge, just to the east of Manchester, for those who know. Him coming back to work, the talk that he wants to get back involved in the Premier League, the timings are right. He is one of the best in class. That thing Gary Neville keeps talking about Manchester United need to go out and sign a best in class. Well, John Murtough wasn't that. And we all had a bit of an open mind and was like, okay, John, let's see what you can do. Can you bring what we're looking for? I'd argue no on the results that we've seen so far. I would argue no. There hasn't been any incredible signings where you go, wow, where did he come from? They've all been like very well-renowned players, really. Paul Mitchell would be the one that starts to uncover those gems, but also give a pathway through to United's talented academy to get into the first team. This man could transform us. I'd love to see him here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. See you in a bit. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.